We're just looking at each other. We're looking at each other. He smokes it right down to the butt, puts it out, and says, "Get the fuck out of my office." That was the meeting. Not a word said. Smoked a cigarette, blew it at me, and told me to get the fuck out of his office. So I'm going, oh, Jesus. I come out. Some of the guys on my team, Sylvain Blouin, Francis Bouillon, Marc Bocage, Stéphane Robida, they knew him from junior. And they said, well, that's just the way he is. I'm like, just the way he is, like a mega kid. Like, what do you mean? He's the
Yeah.
coach. He determines our goddamn fate. I really love the Habs, and I loved Chris Nyland. I could tell you all their stats, everything else. So it was surreal for me to go to that team, first of all. Okay. And then to experience it, I mean, I know, again, looking at Hockey DB, you'd say, man, I must have hated my time there. No, not at all. Now, I didn't like Michel Therrien, and we can get into that. I didn't like Michel Therrien like
I think a lot of people did.
Well, now, okay, now you see that. But at the time, no one really knew it. And I didn't want to rat him out. There was no social media. I did never say it to my agent. I should have, looking back. And he was just, I know you didn't ask me this, but he was just ignorant. Like it wasn't just me. It wasn't a French English thing. He would chain smoke on the bus and kind of want you to ask him why. Please, Mike, can you not do that? Well, fuck you. Who are you then? Who are you? Who are you? You fucking go out. You fucking play. You fucking play good. I don't smoke. Like it was always something. There was always some kind of thing to get your mind. And anyway, I get it. He was a rookie coach, and I was a rookie player. I just didn't like him. And if you want me to go into some specifics about the first year in Fredericton, that was an eye opener.
I'd love to hear it.
Well, I tell you,
rip on coaches on this podcast. Go right ahead.
My first, I never did for years, guys. And the other thing is, everybody's got a story. Now, I'm telling you, I know that I was good enough to and I do think you give a first rounder 100 games to fail. That's what I think. My skating was never great, but I adapted to whatever league I was in. But again, I got nothing against the Habs. Ray John Houle was the GM when I was there. He took my daughter to her first game last year. So it's not just me getting the run into the stuff. I'm not saying that. I had numbers on Michel Therrien. I had numbers under rookie of the year for him. 21 goals, 256 minutes. But the method that he got to bring the best out of each player was one that would leave you broken mentally. And I'd never been treated like that before. It was my third or fourth game in the minors. Again, I give first round pick, right? 18, 19. I'm with the Habs for those 4 games. I go down at the deadline, but the thing is, I go to Red Deer. I have 2 points a game. I set the record in the playoffs for 3 rounds. I had 18 goals in 16 games. No fights, right? So my game's back. The concussion's long gone now. So I'm going, okay, well, long gone, no, but you know what I mean? A lot of people don't get over them. I got over it somehow. And but the next show, so I come in on a high. I think I have a chance to make the Habs, and they didn't make the playoffs the year before. But I get it now. There's 2-way contracts, and I mean, I was far from proven in the NHL, so I got sent down. But third or fourth game, he calls me in, and I'm like, okay. I hadn't been called in much. In this early in the season after not doing. I was playing average, so I was like, okay, he's probably going to dump all over me, but I'd like to get to know him and see what's on his mind. So he called me in. Okay, I sit down, and he's got his desk, and his chair is always a little bit higher than everybody else's. Like he wanted that mental dominance, and he sits me like, I don't know, 15 feet away. He's behind his desk. I'm just there in a chair looking up at him, and he lights up a cigarette. Okay, now he keeps smoking, and he's looking at me, and I was gonna say, well, why'd you call me in here? But I didn't. And then I'm just looking straight into his eyes. Now that can be uncomfortable, right? I'm like, okay, if he's not going to speak, so I'm just looking straight into his eyes. Okay. And he's looking straight into mine. And now we don't want to break. We're just looking at each other. We're looking at each other. He smokes it right down to the butt, puts it out and says, get the fuck out of my office. That was the meeting. Not a word said, smoked a cigarette, blew it at me, and told me to get the fuck out of his office. So I'm going, oh, Jesus. I come out. Some of the guys on my team, Sylvain Blouin, Francis Bouillon, Marc Bocage, Stéphane Robida, they knew him from junior. And they said, well, that's just the way he is. I'm like, just the way he is, like a mega fuckhead? Like, what do you mean? He's the coach. He determines our goddamn fate, right? So there was that. And then I remember it was about the 8th or 9th game I broke out. I had maybe a goal and 2 assists. And he called my parents he called me in for the same sort of thing and called my parents right in front of me. "Oh, Terry's gonna be good. It's all right." He had my dad on the phone, my mom. I'm thinking, "This is great." Next game, I get my first shift with 30 seconds left, and there's getting the tap, and then there's this. He grabbed and he went like this, and he said, "You go out and fight Jeff Ware right now." And I said, "Okay." I did it. Took my helmet, threw it in the crowd. I'm gone now. I'm gone. I'm checked
Jeff
out.
was a
I
big
don't
boy.
want
Jeff was like 6'4", six
I
five.
know he was, and I didn't wanna fight him. I had nothing against him. Hit my goalie or something, or he wasn't ever looking for it. He was a player that he was an honest player.
Yeah.
And I just it felt, ridiculous. So anyway, I played those 2 years, but I never did and I yeah, I just had enough. And long story shorter, in the end, I ended up not going back to camp because of him. I said, "Reggie, I just wanna" and I saw all my friends that I'm playing with, like Tux, Craig Conroy, Jim Campbell, Valerie Bure, Aaron Asham. What's going on? All these guys are going somewhere and they're doing something. Look, I got rookie of the year here. Like there must be something. I must be able to help someone. But now I'm starting to get to the personal side of it. But really, that was it. And I didn't go back to camp, and I ended up hurting my ankle in Dallas camp, to be honest. And it was the beginning of the end. But I often tell these stories. If Michel Therrien was here now, the difference is, Kami, Babcock is still kind of in the and doesn't seem to have is learning a lesson a thing, but
Sure.
he's still relevant for the wrong reasons. I don't know. Maybe Michel got to be a better person. Maybe I really don't know. Maybe he got remarried or he found some epiphany. If he was here, the first thing I would do is shake his hand and try to talk about it because the one thing that I didn't do, I can complain. I didn't go back to camp, and at no point did I actually just walk in his office and say, "Okay, how do we figure this out? I don't
Right.
like you, you don't like me, but I think we had more in common than we didn't. We just never really saw it. I was too young, and he was a young coach, and unfortunately, things worked out the way they did. But where I sit today, I can't really complain.
Yeah, but that's that's big of you to say. That's also a lot, like you touched on. That's a lot for a young guy to go in and have to figure it out. Like it should be the other
Yeah,
way around. No, I mean he should be trying to. He's the coach. You're
you
just a
would
young
think.
kid trying
I
to
just
make your
yeah.
way. Yeah, that's
I
too bad.
never I never ran into that before. I
Yeah,
just in my mind, if I go out and I be a good teammate, that's why a lot of people. I got in. I was a middleweight. I was definitely fighting up, and I could do pretty good against the heavyweights. But a lot of the time, it's just I wanted to be a good teammate. How can I do that? How can I prove to you guys that I'm an only child? I think there's some psyche to that. I'm 14 and 15. I feel like I got rewarded when I fought or I scored a goal by being a teammate. So I mean, my first NHL game exhibition, I fought Steve Leach. My second, I fought Ty Domi. I was 18 years old. Like, and that
yeah,
so and because I knew in my head I can't make myself score, but I can show everybody that I'm willing to be here, and I'll do something. And that didn't work with Tyrion. It didn't. It's almost like the more that you tried to do that, the more he tried to shove you in your place. And he called me a couple of times a punk. I remember Jerry Fleming was the assistant coach, and Jerry, I remember while I was in the meeting, he said, Michelle, I don't know if you really understand what the word punk means. Terry's not a punk. He just made a mistake on the power play there. Like,
right.
you got to
Yeah,
pick, yeah, and there was that too. There was the French English barrier. It's naturally there, but with him, it would almost be he would always assume the worst. And
And
I
Terry
get it.
and
I'm
Terry and
loud. I
Terry
would come in
yeah.
sometimes blue mohawk after a Metallica concert. I wasn't a guy to break curfew or anything, though. I just did things differently, and I was very stubborn. And
But
anyway,
personality was not welcome in the '90s, right? And
no,
there was still like a coach like Terrian he wasn't a unicorn in those days. Like
no,
there were a lot of bullies like that that kind of ruled the roost, through junior and in the pros and all that. So yeah, I mean that was
well,
just there was like an expectation from some guys to be that way,
so
right?
much so, half of it with him was put on. Like, I don't think I've met Mike Keenan, and I've talked to people that played for him, for example, and that was Keenan. But
Yeah.
with Tarian, really, I mean, look when he played. He didn't go out. He wasn't like a tough guy or anything. And I remember if hockey wasn't on the agenda, and a couple times he tried. I remember the second year he called me up to the front of the bus. I'm like, what is he ever going to say to me here? And there was an article in a magazine about the Beatles, and he just showed it to me because he knew I loved the Beatles, and he was trying, like, he was so socially awkward. That was the other thing, that by being stern, you know what I mean? There was
yeah.
something going on. I don't, there was something. We had an opportunity for more of a connection. I know that, and we were both immature, I guess.